Day 17, the bottomless basket. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Jeremiah 32 and 27. A restaurant put up a sign that said, all you can eat for $4.99. A hungry man came in, paid his $4.99, and polished off a huge helping. Then he ordered more and finished that too. But when he put in his order for the third meal, the waitress turned him down. The man angrily called for the manager and pointed to the sign in the window. It says all you can eat for $4.99, and I can still eat more, he accomplished. The manager stood his ground. Yes, but I'm the guy who says that all you can eat for $4.99. Do you suspect that God might be like this manager? As God as good as his word, but only up to a point? At each step of your journey into the Jabbar's adventure, you will have to face your own deeply rooted suspicion about God. Everyone does. Somehow we have to face and unlearn old ways of thinking that God only wants to bless me a little bit. That that while God may have a plan for me, it's probably not very important. That God's power is only rarely available, at least for a little old me. You see, we put God in a box. Inside that box, he can be God. But outside that box, we let our skepticism, fears, meager expectations rule. So much of Christ's ministry on earth was a direct assault on this tyranny of God in a box. Look, for example, at another all you can eat story, the feeding of the 5,000s in the New Testament. This event is so important that it is the only miracle apart from the resurrection to be recorded in all four Gospels. Another feeding of 4,000 is also told in Matthew and in Mark. The account in John 6 shows a logistic nightmare that would make any seasoned event planner cringe. Crowds of ill prepared people have followed Jesus up into the hills. By the end of the day, they are all hungry and far from home, and night is approaching. Every sign points to catastrophe. I'm sure the disciples figured that by morning Jesus' career would be straggling home along with his last cold and starving followers. Yet starting with a boy's lunch, Jesus fed the crowd, leaving everyone satisfied with food to spare. But don't miss how the disciples felt before God moved. Their concerns were valid, their doubts were real, the situations were genuinely desperate. They that point of need before God moves is where you will be tested again and again. If you choose to live with God's hand upon you, it doesn't matter whether you are short of money, people, energy, or time. What God invites you to do will always be greater than the resources you start with. Living with the hand of God upon you means that times you'll be asked to act in the spite of evidence, and then watch the evidence change. Ask God to show you today any old ways of thinking, wrong assumptions about how success happens or how God works. Then let your God be who he really is. He is a God of power, available, essential, and unlimited. There is no box. My Jabbar's Journal. Lord, show me how I limited your powers by my ignorance or unbeliefs. I want you to be God in my life. Let me do that again. My Jabbar's Journal. Lord, show me how I have limited your power by my ignorance or unbelief. I want you to be God in my life. When you have nothing left but God, then for the first time you become aware that God is enough. Mal Raden.